Good morning and good evening to everyone. We've got people from all over the world today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a very exciting little show we've got put together for you with our signature looks class. I am just going to talk a little bit through back of house before I get started and introduce you to our amazing stylist. One you definitely already know. Her name is Frida. Frida can give a little wave. She should be able to pop up now. Yep. Amazing. We have partnered with the Canopy Project. So thank you so much for joining us tonight and giving us, those donations to go towards our pledge, which was to plant 10,000 trees in Madagascar. If you want to know more information about that, follow us along on our journey on our social media and our Instagram and keep up with how we're going. But without further ado, I'm going to be introducing Frida. I'm going to be going on mute, but I will be here on the back of house. So if you have any questions as we're going along, please feel free to interact and pop it in the chat box. And then I'll be introducing yourself and your question to Frida. And she's going to be introducing our amazing Lauren as well. So without further ado, you know her, you love her. Take it away, Frida.
Hi everyone, good morning and good evening to those that are tuning in from Australia. I'm absolutely delighted. This is something that we planned last year just to make really good education accessible to all our salons in Europe as well as throughout America and Australia. I'm really delighted today. I have one of my very dear friends who is going to be showing you some of Mr. Smith's signature looks. Lauren is really well respected and known worldwide for her session work as well as her work at Fashion Week. So Lauren has worked on numerous magazines and covers, like I said, all over the world. I'm sure I'm going to let Lauren do the talking because I think Lauren actually can talk more than I do. You can. And when we're together, it's actually a little bit dangerous. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce Lauren McCowan. So
thanks, Frida.
Welcome, Lauren.
Hi, everybody. You're hilarious. Yes, when we're both together, it gets very dangerous. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for having me. We've been friends for a long time and we've worked together at Fashion Weeks all over the place, but never had the chance to work together with Mr. Smith. So thank you so much for having me. And I'm really excited to everyone that's here to show you my interpretation of some of Mr. Smith's signature looks. So this is Taylor. It's actually Taylor's first day of modelling, so she's really come out swinging with us. But what we're going to be covering is a really beautiful, effortless wave. I'm going to use two different hot tools and show you a couple of tips and tricks with how I change up my sectioning to get different looks, to use different hot tools for different finishes. And then I'm also going to split the head up, do a half head, half with the flat iron, half with the tong. And then I'm going to dress it out with some different combos of my favourite Mr. Smith products, just so you can elevate one look into a bunch of different finishes, just to open up your versatility in what you use, how you use it. I know when you're a busy stylist on the floor, sometimes it's really easy to get stuck into that 5 to 7 looks that you can do all the time, the same 5 to 7 products because you're busy and they work. Something I've really enjoyed using Mr. Smith is the amount of layering and blending and building that I can do, whilst keeping the hair feeling really light and realistic for your clients and the kind of textures that people want their hair to feel like today. Really healthy, really cool and usable so they can go out in the world and feel great. So we're going to do the waves first. I've prepped a little bit at the back. Taylor's got lots of hair, so I know that no one wants to sit here and watch a hot tool for 45 minutes. And then once that texture's in, I'm going to scrape it all back and show you a really quick, chic, effortless knot. Something that I use to do in 10 to 15 minutes. It's a really great thing to use for editorial, but that really elegant, undone updo that you can use to upsell onto a service, or if your clients aren't used to, I think a lot of people look at long hair work in the salon and updos as these really laborious, time-intensive things. Something that I really love about Mr. Smith's style and their signature looks is that they're really quick and easy to use. So they're not just fun to do and easy to master, they also become financially efficient on the floor as well. So if you have any questions, feed them through. The girls will yell out. But Taylor, I'm going to get you to flip your knees to the side for me.
Really quickly too, Lauren, just
Yeah.
in case people don't know, you can actually pin the screen to Lauren if we may have done it back of house for you, but if you're having any trouble as we're talking and it's flicking between Frida and Lauren, on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll be able to pin her face, and then that way you'll be able to see her the whole time that we're interacting. It should be doing it automatically, but just in case, guys, that's how you fix that problem. The same as if you have any problems with the audio, hit us up in the chat button and we'll try and help you out.
Okay, so the back of the head I've already prepped. This side I've prepped with an iron over here. If you guys can't see as well, let me know, because I can move the phone around so that it's easy for everyone to see. Just yell out. So I'm going to be directed by the Fredas and Tails of the world. So what I've done through here with the wave, I've gone through with a flat iron. Turn your head this way for me, darling. And done more of a smooth, just kind of a loose water wave. I will show you how to do that technique at the front in a minute. But when I am working on hair, a really easy way to preserve this style while you're working, instead of crushing it and pinning it up, I just put it in a really quick braid. And this is also a really easy technique to teach your clients how to preserve this hair when they sleep at night as well. I think a lot of people, I always focus on the longevity that my clients will get out of the hair that I do, even when they are these really beautiful, soft, effortless looks. Something as simple as this and using a scrunchie on the ends will stop there, will probably give you another 24 hours on your hairstyle at home. So I always think about how to preserve the hair. But while you're working, if you're moving to a different section, this kind of a loose braid just keeps that beautiful S shape intact so that you can dress it out later. What we've done on this side is I've actually gone through and done this side and prepped this with a tongs. So you can see how light and effortless it is. All I've done through the back is put a little bit of the foundation into the hair dry and brushed it in. I really like to ensure the quality of the hair base I'm working on before I start. And I find that the foundation just it's like my insurance. It fills in all the cracks in the hair. It's light, it's workable. You get that beautiful velvet feel on the hair, a flexible hold, and also your thermal protection in there too. But a really great tip I'm going to show you. I just wanted to show you the back so you can see the difference in creating volume. This is something I use the irons a lot to flatten the hair. The difference between a flat iron and a tong is that with an iron, you're moving the hair flat between two plates. So your finishes are always going to be sharper and flatter to the hair. You still get beautiful movement, but with a tong, you are wrapping around a 3D surface. So your shapes are going to be more curved and you're going to get more width. But really fun hair hack that I do all the time, especially when you're wanting to create volume, is I volumize and style the hair at the same time. So I'm taking slightly curved sections. I curve my hair, curve this, put your head back for me, darling, that's it. I actually curve with this to the curve of the head, but I do it with my fingers so that they're clean enough sections, especially when you're styling. Something that you don't want to do when you're dressing out is be brushing out perfect sectioning marks. So you get a really nice swing. When you're creating curve and movement, I want it to hug to the shape of the skull, bounce off and move around instead of hanging straight down or sticking straight out. So we're taking the curve section here. Pop your head back up, darling. All I'm doing is some very light teasing through the root. So I'm putting my comb through at a 45-degree angle, not all the way through the hair. And I'm just tapping, lightly tapping where I want the volume to be. And then all I'm going to do for this technique is sit this over the curve of the hot tool. So this is going to give me a very gentle texture set, but because you're curling this to the curve of the wand itself, you'll get a lot of curls of volume support through the hair. So give it a couple of seconds. I like to work with ceramic wands. I think of these like round irons. I can glide them through the hair. Let that cool down. You can already see you get a really nice bend just there. All I'm going to do through the bottom is just push up the hair, kind of look where the base curves are and just wrap it around once, twice if you've got really long hair, not a lot of tension, and just give it a really nice glide down the hair and roll it back up. I want to blend these textures together, drop it out, pick it back up, and then I will just pick it back up the opposite direction. So it's a really nonchalant kind of vibe and texture, but you can see this is at 180 degrees Celsius, can't speak today. But when you brush this out and pull it out, I always pull on it a little bit while it's warm, just to soften it out. You can use this as well, use the glide of the iron to pull a wave out if it's too curly for you. But it's a really easy way to create that super effortless, is that her hair, did somebody else do it kind of vibe to your effortless hairstyle. So same thing through here, just going through at 45 degrees. Sitting this at the roots. At 180 degrees, you can see there's not a lot of steam coming off the hair. It's not super hot. It's not going to burn her hair. I don't want to take all the moisture out of her hair that I've just put in with the foundation. Let that cool down, and then I'm just wrapping this around, gliding it through, so it's not a huge amount of tension. You don't want to see where the hair was curled and where it wasn't. And this kind of effortless hair is also a really great way to showcase that you don't have to do every single piece of the hair strand, especially for those girls with pretty healthy hair. You can just use this as a polishing kind of detailing technique. So when you start to pick it up, you get that interaction of the wave. Does anyone have any questions?
I've already learnt my two things, Lauren. There you go. I'm good now. I don't actually, you know how you plait it or braid at the back?
Yeah.
I don't normally do that, but I'm going to do that. I think that's a really good tip. I do this, but and I've liked that you've shown like actually dropping sections, because a lot of times people just think that you need to curl every single part. Which I don't. And I also love that you explain sectioning with your fingers as opposed to like just a really natural section, rather than those, you know, with a tail comb where it's rigid and then you have to try and, you know, make
it. Yeah, I find a lot of hair, I'm just using a little bit of the hairspray now, super light and workable. I don't like to use a lot of hairspray before I use hot tools. I like to use it to lock in my shape after. But now that this is locked in, I'm going to go through and brush out that teasing at the top, because that's the thing with teasing. I find if you just tease, you flatten it all out. Like you're doing sheets of hair over the day. That's why people who want volume always do this. You're going to flatten it out. Whereas if you can slightly heat set a curved texture at the roots, when I touch this, you can see how much lift you can get. Just turn your head this way, darling, compared to where these roots are here. So you can get this really cool, that nice like lived in finish, but you've got style support in there from your set before you have to rely on texture sprays, hair sprays, things like that. Like ensure your work before you start. And if you have a healthy base, that will all sit in there and you'll be able to come back to it again and again. And then the difference with the flat iron side, which, you know, I want to be a little glossier, a little cleaner, a little flatter to the head, which is why I would choose an iron over a tong. So I will just do this piece again. This technique I like to call like painting waves in the hair. So I don't personally clamp and curl and pull it out. And that point that you made, Frida, about dropping the hair down, when you want these beautiful laneward lived-in waves, you want to style the hair where it's going to live after you go. Whereas if you're picking this up and curling it out here, you're going to drop it down and it'll be a totally different thing than you thought it would. So, and the other thing as well, if you ever have trouble with irons and getting marks and lines in the hair, most professional irons have floating plates. So they have a lot of movement to them so that you can bend and move the iron through the hair. If you find that you're getting a lot of marks and lines, it's probably because you're squeezing the iron too hard. Hairdressers carry all their tension in their wrist. And when something's not quite right or you're a bit nervous, people tend to really squeeze on an iron. So if you find you're getting that, shake your wrist out and calm down. It's just hair. So all I'm doing through here, I call this, I come up with stupid names for things, but I call this painting heat into the hair. I look at heat like a product. I coat the hair with heat. I paint it in. I seal the cuticle shut with heat in conjunction with the right products for that hair type. So all I'm doing now is I go and I fade the iron in and then I bend it and then I open it back up as I'm pulling out. So there's no real start or finish point. And that way as well, I can come in minimal tension, move the iron as I'm closing it, bend it to put the curve in and then gently release it. And what happens is you end up with this beautiful, soft, you can't really see where anything started wave in the hair. Does anyone have any questions? So the difference here is you get a lot more length through here, a lot of minimal volume. You get that really nice languid texture. With a tong, turn your head back this way, you just get a little more volume and width from it.
Can I ask you, did you use foundation on both, or did you use texture spray on the other side?
I used foundation on both.
Okay.
But I used a little bit of texture spray at the front of her hair just to hold her roots down. I'll go in with texture spray after. I wanted to leave a really neutral base so we could have some fun with dressing it out once we've done the shapes.
Sure.
All right, darling, jump up.
We don't have any questions as of yet, but we had Terrence from SAS. He said, great tip. He really liked that.
Awesome.
What was the tip?
All of it.
Which one? I've already
amazing. Right.
All right, so the back's done for now. Through the front, this is also a tip that I use for clipping hair, which seems super simple, but when you're dressing hair or you're doing a style, I find a lot of people, they're twisting and they're crushing hair up on top of the head. And what happens is you're already heat setting or temperature setting that room, whether it's room temperature, the heat from the head. Everyone knows how the color band works. The heat band works for color, but it makes your head a hot tool as well. So tips like putting the hair in a plait, teaching your clients how to preserve their shapes, twisting it up into buns properly, using scrunchies, will give you a lot more longevity in their style. But those simple tips of how to pin and preserve while you're working saves you a lot of work at the end trying to fix things you did to yourself during the appointment. So something that I do a lot when I'm trying to section the hair, if I want to do a beautiful wave, I don't want to put this up on the head like this. I'm just creating more work for myself, or a bend that I don't want. We've all had that where it's been up in a bun, you let it down, there's a full curl on it. So all I do is grab a little piece of hair from underneath and just wrap it around the outside of the hairstyle and slide a clip down vertically, and that will hold it into place so that you can have really clean sections for styling without having hair absolutely everywhere or getting marks in the hair. So the sectioning pattern that I'm taking for the iron look is a herringbone sectioning pattern, which is kind of, if anyone's seen those mishmashing tiles, when it comes to these iron waves, I don't want it to look done. I want it to look really effortless. I want people to wonder whether she really is just that cool that she wakes up like that, whether she's an absolute ninja that can do her own hair, or whether she's got a very expensive hairdresser at home. So something that I do here, I like to work with angles around the head. So I'm going to take angled sections back, similar to highlights. The way that we take highlighted sections for foils so that they mesh and blend together, take that understanding into styling. Taking horizontal sections, or horizontal sections means that the hair will come out and then go down. It'll give you a lot of width. And taking vertical sections means you get no volume and it will hang side by side. So it takes a lot more time later to blend together. Taking an angled section gives you a melting effect. But what we're doing with a herringbone section is elevating that. I'm going to style this and then from the center come up and take an angled section that way. So what happens, and crisscross it over. So as I go, all the hair starts to stack on top of itself and on top of itself. And eventually when I shape this out, you won't see where the wave was manufactured. And that I like to blend a lot of my understanding in different disciplines. Some of my favorite techniques for styling, favorite setting patterns for styling, come from how I cut and color. So a lot of us, and you might have colleagues that you work with, you might have friends, or might be yourself that think that they're a stronger cutter or colorist than they are a stylist. Take where you're strongest and put it into where you think you're weakest, because it's not that you can't do that. If you're a creative thinker, you can apply, you could have been an architect, a fashion photographer, you just like hair. So you might think you're a stronger colorist, it's just because you like it, because you're more comfortable there. So this technique, that herringbone sectioning, actually comes from one of the ways that I cut curly hair, by being able to interlock my gap cutting so that you can't see where a curly haircut was manufactured. Because that's the worst thing you can do to someone with curls, is cut a big wall of layers and try and texturize it out after. So that technique allows you to shape the curls around the skull so you can't see where it was manufactured. So because that works for me there, I can apply that here and get the same effect. So all I'm doing through the front, I like to mirror my tool to the section I take, put my arm in, move it, and then bend it. Give it a couple of seconds and then release it as I'm coming out. Drop it down, move it, bend it. That's how you can line your curls up, release it. And then I always like to just give it a little touch while it's hot. Heat styling is a two-phase process, heat up, cool down. Phase 1 is however you apply heat to the hair. Phase 2 is however the hair is manipulated as it cools down. So you're only 50% of the way through. If you think about your favorite way to wave or curl, we all have different ways of doing it. You can get a million different results off of one setting technique just by not being afraid to touch the hair. So we all know if we want a curl to cool down tighter, we pin it up while it's warm, let it cool down, drop it out. The other end of that spectrum and really opening up your heat styling is how much can you touch it and manipulate it while it's cooling down to take one technique into 100 options. So I could leave it cool down as it is. I could comb it while it's hot. I could put some product in while it's hot. There's a million different options, but you can also just leave it to cool down neutrally or you can pin it up. But touching the hair a lot is something that I do, and that really comes from confidence in how you've built your base. So having those those foundation products like the foundation, I mean, Frida's a genius, got that name early. But that is like your insurance. Fill in the gaps in the hair's health before you start. And then you use your heat intelligently to seal that in. If you fill the hair out with what it needs and lock the cuticle down with heat, then that's how you make hair better over time, and that's how you create shape memory. So your curls will last and your waves will last without having to resort to a huge amount of hairspray.
You're getting a lot of love on the herringbone pattern, Lauren. But Linda at Amity said it was a great tip. And I feel like everyone was nodding when you did the herringbone. Everyone was going, oh, yes, yes.
But I think the way you're explaining the heat is fantastic, because I always say even our hands are a tool. You know, while your hands are hot, you can create shape just by, moulding the hair into your hands. So
absolutely.
It's a really good tip. And just by pulling on it, if you want to soften it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And even like creating volume, like if you do a curtain fringe, if you just touch it while it's cooling down, you're just going to you can accentuate with your hands. You're right, Fred. Your hands are absolutely the most important tool you have.
And Lauren, I'm just going to tell you, you have 37 minutes. Just so we've got
fantastic.
time. So you're doing good.
Now everyone will be like, show us your 10-minute up style, Lauren.
Well, I love I call it 5 minutes. So yeah, it's quick.
It is quick.
If you guys haven't already, I highly recommend that you follow Lauren and follow Frida on Instagram for lots of amazing tips and tricks and also just pure entertainment. These women are super entertaining.
I've got nothing now, Taryn. My Instagram was deactivated. I'm down to I've just started. It's frustrating. But
so that's Frida's subtle hint to get you all to follow her again.
Well,
All right, so that's the iron technique. You see, super subtle. I'll dress it out with some product in a second. But now through the front, going to come through, and disclaimer, everyone, I'm only using a Wise Park wide tooth comb because Mrs. Smith combs are so good they've sold out around the world, just so you know. I missed the boat on getting one.
Apologies, Lauren. I will get...
No apologies. I just didn't want anyone to be like, is that a Mrs. Smith comb? What is that?
No, I will get a few to you, like I said, once they're back in stock. Because right. I know I always have about 3 or 4. I have one in my pocket, one in my bag, one in my...
I usually have 6 in my hair, and if they go in the back of this, I probably have a Mrs. Smith comb in the back of my hair. I just will never see it again. So a big tip I want to share with you guys about tongs, because everyone's got their favorite side, things up easy, and then you come around to this side that's not your strong hand, and you're like, how do I do this? Super simple technique. Grab your tong, point it to the floor, and it's the same as a pair of scissors. Put it in the spot that you know it needs to be and to get the result you want, and just walk around until it feels comfortable. So all I'm doing through here, you can see this nice curve section. So I want these curls, because it's a rounded tong, I want it to hug, push off the shape of the head. A lot of us forget that you're working with a round sock. You're basically working with hot soccer balls. So making your movements swing and hug and using the skull as scaffolding makes things really easy, instead of doing these really rigid shapes and harsh sectioning patterns. Especially this kind of effortless editorial hair requires a level of languidity to it to pull it off. If it looks manufactured, you've lost it. It's not cool anymore.
Getting a lot of love there. Belinda from Amity Hair again. She gave you a lot of hand claps for that one.
Now, a little variation on this kind of gliding back and forth technique that I'm doing. If you want to elevate, if you're working with someone with really fine hair, so Taylor's got obviously gorgeous hair, but so I'm using the wand more, pulling it down to smooth and curl at the same time. But if you had someone with fine hair, or you want to create that really cool girl, like super grungy vibe without doing teasing, think of this like a round iron again. So wrap it once or twice if she's got long hair. Set a wave point. So set your first wave point. Give it a couple of seconds for the heat to move through to the outside of the hair. Slide it down. Pick a secondary wave point, and then just slide them back and forth. And it will create this really cool, the more you do it, the more textured it will get. But you'll get this really cool lived-in texture. If you don't like your client, hit her in the head. Don't do that. And then same thing while it's hot, pull it apart and push it up, and you'll get this really cool texture in the middle that will become scaffolding for your shape before you actually have to resort to lots of texture powders. So wrap it once, slide it down, couple of seconds, leave your ends out, and then just back and forth. The tighter you hold it, the more tension you'll get. The looser it is, you'll get this really cool, soft, cloudy finish to it. And then when you touch it, you just start to get this width happening to the hair. So we head to the front, babe.
Frida, can I ask how long Lauren and yourself have known each other for?
Oh, I have no idea. I would say maybe like at least 10 years, Lauren?
Yeah, at least, babe.
Yeah. I don't even know. It's just good people find each other. That's what
I think I just saw a question about product getting sticky.
Yeah, you're spot on. Do you find the product gets sticky? I sometimes find I make a mess and make it not so workable for myself, hoping that translates from Belinda.
Yes, absolutely. So that's very much in your product choice at the start. So this is why I separate my products into two categories, foundation and finishing. So foundation products are things that you put in the hair that break down salt and hydrogen bonds or will feed the hair. They work a little more internally. And think of them like skincare, toners, serums, moisturizers, things that will give you a really beautiful base. And then your finishing products, which give you a temporary cosmetic finish. It's more like makeup. So if you think about, put this in a skincare analogy, if you wash your face with soap, walk out of the shower, no toners or serums, and then you put your makeup straight on, how does your face age over the course of the day? Your makeup is harder to put on, it takes longer to blend, and it doesn't age well. By happy hour, you have to fix your whole face. Whereas if you get out of the shower, use your toners, your serums, your moisturizers, your skin's balanced, your skin is fed, and then you put your makeup on, it goes on easier, it lasts longer, it ages better. So you might have to touch it up a little bit, but you certainly are not going to get to a point where you have to redo it. I look at hair products and my foundation prep exactly the same way. So when it comes to anything that's too sticky, like that's supposed to give you a temporary cosmetic finish, like texture sprays, hairsprays, anything like that, creams, pastes that might give you that finish. I use things like the foundation, the serum, the leave-in to treat and balance the hair. And then, or the sea salt spray is beautiful because it has all those moisturizers in it as well. So if you want to build texture but still keep it brushable and workable, sea salt spray is great for that. If you find that with this technique really only works with ceramic tools, with something that the hair feels healthy and will glide through. So I would avoid things that are too sticky on the outside. Anything that's got a polymer in it to hold a shape means you're putting something on the outside of the hair. So things that are designed to feed the hair, that's what I would use first. So because I've used the texture spray through the very roots. So the texture spray is great as well. Like I've got it through here and it's not a sticky product either. So we blow dry the front of the hair with that. But through all the mid-lengths and the ends, we've got the foundation.
Lauren, I think something else, you explained that really well, actually. I always separate it into wet and finishing products, like wet products and finishing. But I think also your application of the products is really important, applying everything evenly throughout the head, rather than what we tend to do is we put products in our hands, rub our hands together, and we tend to just go to the top. Whereas I like to section the hair and just work the product through evenly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm going to use on this side with Taylor's hair, because we've got that little bit of height at the top, we've done that kind of cloudy sliding texture. So a combo that I really like, I'm going to actually put a little bit of dry shampoo through her roots and mid-lengths, just so it's already there. You get that, I can pick this up, get that really cloudy finish. And then I'm going to show you a little quick tip with the sea salt spray, especially sometimes when you're doing those cool girl looks, you try and get that perfect separation on the ends and it never quite works. So you've got to work too hard for it. So I'm just going to do a little bit through here. Shut your eyes, babe.
Looks beautiful.
So I love dry shampoo. I love the Mr. Smith dry shampoo because it's so silky. So it's not too starchy. You can brush it. You can still keep the hair looking super glossy and beautiful. Like my comb's still running through it like butter, but because that's already in there, the minute that I want to reactivate this and bring it back to life, so if I was working on a shoot, I might shoot it really beautiful and natural and just bring out the front of this. But the minute that I want to elevate, I've got all that teasing that's been heat set in there with that style support, and I can just pick this up and have all that cool lift in there. But this sea salt technique, which you can do with the texture spray, if you want to get a lot of definition, you can even do it with the volume spray. But think about that perfect clumping of hair, which that happens naturally over the way that the hair swings and moves when she leaves you. So instead of trying to get it piece by piece with creams and pastes, if you grab your whole section of hair right up to where you want it, so you've got a ponytail, let me just move that way. And spray it up, because this is a nice fine cloud. If you shake it while you spray a cloud of sea salt spray into it, when this comes out, turn your head this way, can you see that it's just got perfect kind of clumping to it? Like if she walked around for a couple of hours, her hair would naturally do that. You stand up for me, babe. So there you go. See how it just clumps apart. So she doesn't have to work too hard, and it's so much better than us. We've all had it where you get a little bit of something, you like try and piece it out. The easiest way to do it, and this is, I think a lot when I think of techniques, how can I bridge this to my clients? How can they really easily use this technique at home? So then you go like that, a little bit of dry shampoo, you've got this perfect clumping. And then, just face me for 1 second. Shut your eyes, babe. And then all I'm going to do through here, actually go like that. There we go.
We've got a lot of love for that technique, Lauren. And I think exactly like you say, it's so easy to translate to your clients.
So yeah, you can see through here as well. You can see where you have that cool, effortless finish, and then it just clumps. And then it just looks cool. It's easy. So I'll have Taylor spin around and we're going to dress out this other side. Now, the other side, I want to be a little more languid. See, you can start, because of the foundation, you get that beautiful shine on it. So that's really what I want to pick up. So all I'm doing, and I love the foundation, I just think it's genius. So a little bit of that. When I'm going to use a dressing cream like this on dry hair, it might seem a little bit scary, but think of this like, you know, when you put on those like face revitalization sprays over the day on your makeup, you're like, oh, it's a bit, spray your face. You're like, I'm back. This is it. I put this on like moisturizer, so it's all over my hands. And then I just run it through. Because it's so velvety and because it's such a fine amount on your hands, all it's going to do is feed your ends. This is a great tip for people who have really, you know, the girls like me who need this much cut off and they'll only let you pretend cut it. What if you just pretend you cut it and I'll put it on Instagram? So, but it just finishes the ends of unhealthy hair. Like if it's not perfect hair, it'll bring it back to life. Now, obviously Taylor's got gorgeous hair. I'll probably shave her head and sell it after this class. I'm joking. Great first day of modelling for Taylor. But this is why I love the foundation, because I can leave it to look defined or I can run a comb through it and I still have this beautiful, airy, if you turn to the side, you can see this just gorgeous movement to it. It doesn't look like I just put a cream in her hair. And then through the front, I'm going to do a little bit of hairspray. Show your eyes, guys.
I use the foundation on dry hair probably more so than I do even on wet hair.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, yeah, love it.
So you can go through.
That looks amazing.
So you've got this like super soft, you've got that more languid. You can see the difference in the width as well from your iron to your tong, and just adjustment in techniques. But you've got this beautiful soft iron finish here that's super healthy, got heaps of shine and movement through it. And you could make that, you could line those waves up, you could make it really polished and glamorous. I prefer something that looks like she could possibly have achieved that herself, which I think is what, you know, aside from crazy editorial hair, when you see this stuff in magazines, that's what makes it look cool. And there's so many times, and Frida will be the same, you show up on set and the hair's already perfect. So what am I even here for? Go straight on Instagram.
Lauren, we just got a quick question saying, is it okay if you do a quick recap on the products you used on each side?
Absolutely. So for Taylor's fringe area, little bit of texture spray, which I actually really love blow drying this in and blow drying the hair down and back and forth for people with cowlicks. It's got enough guts to it to keep it held down. So that's why you get that cool, like, dragging forward of her roots. This side then, we did the foundation in the base, styled it with the tong, using those little bit of teasing out the roots to get that lift, but sealing that in with heat, dry shampoo, and then we did our big shake and bake with sea salt spray. So then you end up with that cool, clumpy, effortless hair. So, and a really good tip to teach your clients, if you do these kind of beautiful waves, when they go, so how I would teach my client to preserve this is use her hands, rake it through at night, tuck this behind her ear. Like I said before, the head is a heat tool as well. So she tucks this behind her ear. That will actually keep that perfect wave that you've done lined up with her cheekbone and preserve it for like 3 days. So for this side, I would get her to rake her hair through her hands like this. Now she could twist it away from her face, put it in a bun behind her occipital and put it in a scrunchie, leave the ends out. She could do that. Or you could also put this in a plait, like a really easy, messy plait with a scrunchie, keep that tucked, and that will preserve her shape really beautifully. Then in the morning, all she has to do is get up, add a bit more product. She can layer her product. So over the next couple of days, the more she does this, the better and better those ends are going to start to look. But because the sea salt spray's got all those beautiful moisturising ingredients like glycerin, coconut fruit juice, a couple of oils, it's not going to dry her ends out. It will just give you the texture that you want. And then this side, we've gone through with the, oh my God, I like, you can stand up normally. She's so tall. She's like bending down for me. Bless. I'll be booking you again, that's for sure. So this side, which is your beautiful, soft, effortless wave, we've used the foundation again, a little bit of texture spray at the top, and then all we've done is put the foundation back in over the top once the shape's been done. So you get that really gorgeous, haven't done anything hair wave, but because you've got the support of the foundation, you're going to get all that shape memory. So she will keep her hair like that for a few days. You don't need a lot of product if you're using great product. So same
Lauren,
thing.
did you put the
What, babe?
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to say, we got a question. I got a private question actually that just came through. Did you put the foundation when you prepped it? Did you put it in dry and then blast dried it in? Same with the texture spray for the roots, or was it damp and then you popped it in?
So she had dry hair. I just put it in and brushed it in. I don't believe in drying product in if you don't need to. If you've got the time to just brush it in, I'll let it air dry or dry it in with cold air. There's no point over drying hair when you put the foundation in the first place to help out. Texture spray, we blow dried in, but that was from dry hair, texture spray, and then blow dried it in. That was it.
Amazing.
So can everyone see the difference through the two?
Looks beautiful, Lauren.
So super easy, but just those slightly considered little tips and tricks that can really start to expand the way you do that kind of cool girl hair.
Beautiful.
All right, babe, have a seat.
You've got 10 minutes.
Oh my God, perfect. So now we're up to the speed round. All right, guys, so what I'm going to do here.
I hope all our Dutch friends can understand you. You're speaking so fast.
I'm so sorry.
So Australian.
So Australian.
Not English. It's all like, we speak fast. Thank you, Bianca.
Thanks, Bianca.
Bianca just said.
You know what we can do, Freeds, now that it's recorded, we'll just get a translator to dub over the top.
Good. Hanny said we can follow. It's good. Thanks, Hanny.
So now with this, I'm going to quickly throw this knot up, but I want to do a really kind of bit of more of a mashed up wet look. I love using mousse, especially when you can see how much hair Taylor has. She got a lot of hair. So what we don't want to do is end up with a knot that sits out here because we're trying to make all of her hair work. So something that I do to minimize hair. So I'm going to do this with my fingers and make this nice and quick. So I'm actually going to get rid of all of this and then lay that hair over the top so that it looks cool, thrown together, but something that will stay in as well. So this is a great way to get rid of really a lot of thick hair if you want it to look like a cool, tight finish. So we're going to get, where did I put it? There it is. So I'm going to use the foundation. I like to be very liberal with product, and I like using, if I'm going to get rid of hair like this and wet it down, I also like to use products that are going to condition her hair and make her hair feel great after the fact as well. They also give you a lot of slip, which is excellent. That's what you want. Okay, tiny bit of water on the ends just to dilute that down. All right. So I made a bungee, which I use little, oh, you hold it like that. There you go. Like little bobby pins and an elastic, especially when you don't have someone to tie off for you. That's, you know, great for fashion week, but not really realistic to doing someone's hair in the salon. So all I'm going to do here is do a really quick braid. So I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever done an upstyle, you want to do those really soft, effortless finishes, but you put a pin in and you're like, that pin did absolutely nothing. and you want those kind of undone finishes. Really easy way to do that is create a pin pad underneath the hair. So this is a technique that will get rid of lots of hair and hold it flat to the head. So we're just doing a quick inside out braid. Doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be tight.
Lauren, I just want to say this is something that we do, I would say, on every single show. There is always someone that we have to do this type of thing on every show. I would say on 99% of the shows, we have to remove bulk. So what you're showing is really genius. I'm really pleased that you're doing that, because I don't think I've ever demonstrated it. So I'm glad you're doing it.
It's something that we don't really think too much about, but it just makes life so much easier. So if you wanted to do, turn your head this way, darling. If you wanted to do a ponytail, you could tie it off here. If you actually want to get rid of all of this hair, you can braid it all the way to the end. So I'm going to bring this down and this is why something like the foundation is so great, because it will just get rid of it. And a random tip as well, I also don't mind leaving a bit of sag at the nape if you're going to pick this up and out of the way, and I will show you why in just a second. Okay. Let's try that off. By pulling the hair underneath the braid, you're going to get rid of more bulk. If you do it over the top, you'll end up with hair out here. But if I wanted to pick this up, just move this a little bit closer. There we go. If I wanted to pull this up out of the way, see how when I pick this up, how tight it goes at her nape. By leaving a sag there, it pulls the whole thing up with you as you tuck it up. So I'm just going to actually pull that out. So now I want the hair to come back at the front. So I'm going to use a little bit of mousse. And I love the Mrs. Smith mousse because it doesn't flake. And what I'm doing is kind of putting it randomly on my hands and then just picking this up, because I don't want this to be a really even product distribution. I want it to look a little lived in. And this is something you could teach your client to do really quickly through the front if she's trying to throw her hair up, it looks chic when her hair's at day 7. So you can see you start to get, use a little bit of volumizing spray through here too. But I'm just doing this in stripes, just so it gives you that kind of little bit weirder texture. Now I'll get you to turn your head this way. This is one of my favorite tricks that I do for myself when I'm doing up styles. A lot of people always start at the back, start at the front. Once you do your sections or your core base, start at the front. So let me pull you around. There we go. So I'm going to pull this up. I want this to come straight back. You're looking at the grain of the hair. Get your long clips like this and slide them in vertically. They're like scaffolding. So you can, turn your head this way, babe, place and design this to look like however you like, but it will hold the grain of your hair and where you want this to sit. You can go all the way back and create volume, and those pins will hold this up where you want while you're working on the back. I want this to be a little bit flatter, so we'll leave those there. I'm going to spray a little bit just through the sides of the volumizing spray. And same thing, I'm just working my hands in so that it starts to get that really kind of lived in finish. Pull this down, and while you're working and placing your clips in, you can go through the sides as well, secure your sides. And this helps you to build to the back so that you don't end up working on your knot and then realizing you've done something through the front that you don't love. You can sign off on what you want straight away. Does anyone have any questions about that?
Nope, I love it.
So I want the sides to be nice and tight. Just check the front of that. And this like slide-in technique is also so amazing for diffusing curly hair. There's sometimes with curly hair that it gets really flat on top. When you twist out when it's damp, you can slide this in and it will hold your curls up wherever you want them to go. Then you can air dry it without touching it, and you'll have the most perfect curls for your client. All right. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put the bottom of this just back into a ponytail so I can tie this in knots and then pin this bad boy up and then let you guys go on with your day. So I'm just going from here at the base. 1, 2. Just pull that little bit of hair out. There we go. Undo that. Pull all this together now. And then this becomes as simple as picking it up and just tying it in a knot. Actually, do you know what I'm going to do? Just put a couple just here. I really, really rely on my scaffolding clips so that I can let my hands go and should run around and check my shape, right? Especially before you commit. Like before you commit to pins, before you commit to anything, make sure you're going to be happy with where this sits. So now I can stand away and be like, okay, I can check all this, great. And then you're literally just tying it in a knot.
Oh, I tie it off before I tie it, so I don't do it your way. There you go.
There you go.
I'm learning something different.
Oh, babe. So I've just tied it once because she's still got so much hair, I'm going to fold it up and push it up like this. So I'm going to tie this off at the bottom like that. Now, if you had someone with fine hair, you could do this a couple of times, but all I'm doing through here is now just pushing this, push your head back against my hand. Remember, you've got that structural braid underneath. So now when I go to pin, I'm not cracking my pins open. I'm going straight through the bun across the braid. And then I'm just pinning around the perimeter. So straight through, straight down the braid. Straight through, straight down the braid. You can pull these out as you go. Don't be like me and throw them on the floor. I always do that, then I have to run around and pick them up myself, so I don't know why. I love to use a couple of bobby pins around the perimeter as anchor pins. And then into the braid. And so there's 4 pins in there at the moment, but I can pull my hand away. Once I've got it secure with some bobby pins, now I go in with these guys. Hang on, how am I going to do this? Oh, that's how the influencers do it. But now this acts like a double anchor. So it's hooking it and really holding it under the pins and also under the braid. So you just don't have to use as many things. And then all I'm going to do with these bottom bits, I like to have a bit of a tail, but we're just going to pull this up and secure some of it around. So we've got little bits coming out.
It really comes down to you personalising it how you...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that, like, there's something as simple, and I know Freeds does this, it's one of the looks, but that's tying it into knots. If you've got really fine hair, you can tie it 3 or 4 times and then twist, and just looks like a much more detailed thing than you thought it was going to be. Like for your client, it just looks like there's been so much more work done than tying it simply into knots. The other thing as well is when you want to go through and personalize and really kind of finish it off, you can use your ripple pins. Just turn your head this way, babe, to really start to mess up your shape. So just go through, hook it around and push it back in the same direction, and you can surely start to change the detail lines of what you've created. So I'm going to pull this bit out through here, tuck that under, and then hide the elastic. Okay, stand up for me.
This is the type of work that you can do very, very quickly in a salon. When I think a lot of stylists are afraid of doing long hair, and yet if you know how to create a really good base, the rest of it is really easy.
Yeah, 100%. When I was a third-year apprentice, I worked at a salon in Australia called Tognini's, and I was doing all the upstyles, and they would only book me like 20-minute appointments. So I, came up with, you have to find all these great shortcuts, because I would have like 10, 15 more appointments a day. And something that ended up happening is that I actually became their biggest earner on the floor when I was a third-year apprentice, because I was just like, bam, 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 $110 every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So there's lots of money to be made, but it's also little easy things and offering those different services to your clients. If they're going out for a lunch, or they're going for a birthday and you're doing their haircut, instead of them just coming in for a blow-up, like, well, have you thought about this? What if we try that? So all I'm doing now is I'm going through, pulling this apart.
Looks really beautiful, Lauren.
Something that I do a lot as well, my final tip, because I know we're probably over time now.
No, because we're going to have some questions after.
Okay, great. Is I brush the hair back and hold it, and then brush away. And that's how you get all your little baby hairs out without pulling out big chunks of hair. So I just want a little more guts through here. Pin that up. All right. So what I would do at this point, if you face the front for me, darling, is go through and just slide a couple of clips in here. There we go. Little blow dry and diffuser. Make sure your blow dry is plugged in. It's very effective.
Maybe it's overloaded. Sometimes it overloads if it's your Dyson. It happens to me. Can I just say, with the way Lauren's popped those clips in, I do that all the time, and I brick it. It's another technique that I use a lot with my long styling.
There we go. So just diffuse it, and you can get all that lift that you want, all that weird texture. You can pull these bits out. But because you've got all your pins locked into that braid, pulling pieces out is not going to pull your whole shape apart.
Do we have any questions for Lauren? Does anyone have any questions?
So one final pin. That's better. And just one through here. So then you've got, and as well, if you can get your upsell up quickly, you've got time to finesse and play with it. So super it looks like it's more intricate than it is. You haven't done too much work, but it's undone enough that you can make it look really just pulled up an art house. Pull out your flyaways, you can play around. I would dry that in more and just give that a bit more lift and texture. But you start to see all those details come out. Cool.
Lauren, it's absolutely beautiful. Can I just say, I actually learned a lot myself today. So I really enjoy watching other artists work. So honestly, sincerely, I mean that. I've learned a lot just watching you, and
thanks, darling.
It's been really nice. Because I'm so used to working with other people so much, and I'm not in so much of a creative space. I'm doing a lot of work on my own. So I've really enjoyed today, and I hope everyone else has enjoyed it just as much as I have. But I'm sure there's does anyone have any questions before we wrap up?
You can get change if you want, darling, and I'll just steal the chair from you. Thanks,
There
Taylor.
was one question, Frida, from Hanny.
Yes,
With products Lauren normally using before using an iron, I'm assuming she's saying, are you using, oh yes, for heat protection.
the foundation has heat protection, Hanny.
Yeah.
So Lauren Lauren used the foundation before. She applied it on dry hair, because when the model arrived, the model had dry hair. So she applied it to dry hair, which is what I normally do. Because and it doesn't make any difference if you apply it wet or dry, you're still going to get that heat protection.
Yeah, exactly. And it just, if they come in with dry hair, then it just blends it, like it's insurance. So it's going to balance it. It's got moisture, protein, heat protection. But even though it's a cream, don't be scared of putting it in dry hair, because it has such a velvet finish. It is so workable. It won't stick to anything. It's really beautiful.
One sec. Can I just tell your model not to get undressed? Because I can
Don't get undressed.
I can see her, and I want to make sure that no one else can see it. Do you know, I just spotted it.
Oh, no, she's got a singlet on. She's all right.
That's fine. No, I just thought in case she takes that off, I don't want
Great call. Oh, you can see her in the reflection.
I can see her. Sorry, I had to say that. I had to mention it.
No, thank God. No, she's fully dressed underneath. We just threw the shirt on. So, but thank you for that.
All good.
Yeah.
Lisa Ravick would like to watch this again. Yes, it is going to be available to rewatch, Lisa. Well, if no one's got any questions, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. Lauren, thank you so much. I feel really privileged that you're our first guest. We talked about this last year.
We did.
And I said I wanted you to be our first guest for the year, and it's happened. So thank you so much. You're an absolute superstar. I'm a big fan of your work, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more work together. Hopefully,
me too.
We may do a little tour. Who knows?
Yeah. No, thank you so much for having me. Like I said, we've talked about this for so long, but super privileged. I've really loved and enjoyed working with Mr. Smith, and I'm excited to see what else we can do. But thank you all so much for watching, and thank you so much for having me. Like Frida said, I think this is recorded, so you'll be able to watch again. But if you do ever have any questions or follow-up questions about anything we've talked tonight, you can reach out to Frida on her Instagram. You can reach out to me as well. I'm more than happy to answer your questions anytime.
Go on and
we had a quick question.
Yes.
We had a quick question, Lauren, from one of our amazing guests tonight was, do you mind if they share your photos on Instagram, some of your work?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, no worries.
Amazing.
Good.
Just not the ones of Taylor taking her shirt off in the reflection. Would be none of those.
No. All right. We'll have an amazing day, all our friends in Holland today.
Yes.
And drink up, all the Aussies. And I think we had someone from Ireland, one of my friends from Sam's team. Are you still on? Is she on? She was on. Joanne is still there. Hi, Joanne.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, wonderful. So thank you everyone for joining, and Lauren, we'll do this again soon.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.